Good afternoon. Today we'll be presenting our action research presentation by Mariam Annie, Sarah Oskir, Sam Onana, and Hawa Al-Badri. Our research question is, how can teachers promote student engagement with classroom activities? During the research stage, there were four main subtopics that we focused on, including how differentiating tasks would help students engage with classroom tasks, how project-based activities would help engage with classroom tasks, how group discussions and group work assist students in engaging with class activities, and how inquiry-based learning is crucial to helping students engage with the classroom activities. I'll begin by introducing the literature for our group. Collaborative learning is an academic approach towards creating learning environment which involves students working together in pairs or small groups to perform learning tasks in order to reach a common goal. Our literature review shows that the most important integral component of collaborative learning lies within the student interactions that take place between learners. Throughout literature, one of the factors that collaborative learning is found to have an effective influence on is the social and communication skills of students. When students are given the opportunity to work together in groups, it establishes a socialized learning space, giving them the capacity to share ideas, question each other, problem solve, and construct information. The flipped classroom model is an engaging series of learning segments that are closely linked to learning and assessment outcomes that provide feedback to the learner during each stage. Carefully designed pre-class activities assist students to learn key concepts in a self-paced manner, developing their confidence and motivating to engage in peer-led discussions during class that led to synthesis and application of these key concepts. There are several benefits to this way of learning for students. For example, students observed ramified activities to be more motivating, interesting, and beneficial to learning than other activities. Particularly, ramification elements transform boring tasks into interesting ones. By utilizing ICT in the classroom, it allows students to work collaboratively with technology and gives them a chance to differentiate their learning experience instead of just writing down information in their workbooks all the time. By differentiating tasks, the teacher is empowering students in their learning environment, which will overall motivate them to participate in classroom tasks. Project-based learning is a method which allows students to engage with open-ended and real-world research questions that primarily aim to utilize and explore various teaching outcomes over a specific set of time. Often, project-based learning is studied over a certain time period as it allows students to further engage and deepen their understanding into an innovative method of investigating the learning outcomes presented. Therefore, it is a method which involves informative planning and focus to ensure a student's education. It can be achieved via numerous approaches, for example, being added to the standard classroom teaching method, to formulating the structure of the curriculum, allowing students' development and questions to be inquired whilst being revealed the application of research. Such benefits are inclusive to the students' deepening knowledge, progress in enthusiasm to learn, and additional probabilities for their skills to become more independent with learning. Our literature review shows that students have more positive view of science when taught using the inquiry-based approach. For example, research conducted by Molineux in 2012 indicates that students showed an increase in focus and curiosity and strongly agreed with enjoying the inquiry-based learning activity.
Now we'll be discussing the analysis of our data collected and what methodologies were used. Based on our literature review, we decided to obtain both teachers' and students' perspectives on how to promote students' engagement with classroom activities and what pedagogical strategies can highly increase students' engagement, particularly focusing on differentiating tasks, project-based activities, group discussions and group work, and inquiry-based learning. In order to do this, we used two different data collection methods: surveys and interviews. During our data analysis, the following themes were created. Firstly, collaborative learning is crucial for students' engagement with classroom activities. Secondly, student-centered learning promotes student engagement. And finally, incorporating ICT with classroom activities enhances students' engagement. From the survey question 1, we asked 11 students, does working in groups make classroom tasks more enjoyable or more disruptive? The responses showed that the majority of these students believe group work makes classroom tasks more enjoyable, with 90.91% voting for it and 9.09% voting against. These findings advocate for our group topic, how can teachers promote student engagement with classroom activities, by suggesting that group work will help the students enjoy their tasks and therefore be more engaged. From the survey question 3, which asked 11 students, I find project-based tasks more engaging when completed with ICT, the responses demonstrated that most students were in agreement with this statement. Specifically, 45.5% of students agreed and 18.2% strongly agreed, with the remainder of students at 36.4% were neutral to the statement. This is indicative of student engagement being encouraged and enhanced with classroom activities, specifically if completed with the integration of information communication technologies. From our data collection, there were various survey limitations which came across. When conducting this survey, such limitations from the retrieval of data became evident. These included the choice of why students may have chosen neutral as their response. This is something that could have been rectified through the use of open-ended questions at the end of the survey, rather than simply closed-ended questions. Another limitation which did highly affect the completion of the surveys by a set time was the fact that the students being interviewed were Year 12 students, thus were preoccupied with their HSC studies and exams.
Now moving on to the discussion of the interview findings. 3 teachers were interviewed regarding the use of collaborative learning in classrooms, and all 3 participants agreed that collaborative learning is crucial for students' engagement with classroom activities. Participant 1 believes that it is very effective with students who might have low confidence or low self-esteem and are not very confident in their own answers. Participant 2 and 3 also believe students of lower ability feel included in classroom activities, which helps them gain confidence, particularly in classroom discussions. All participants state that they use collaborative learning as much as possible in their lessons, and when they do, the lower achieving students are usually paired up with the higher achieving students. Students who have lower ability may have the opportunity of learning from the higher ability students and motivate them to learn better. The only drawback all 3 participants believe comes with collaborative learning is lack of time. Due to the heavy loaded content, there is lack of time to constantly keep students working together. It has been observed from the participants that warm relationships can be built through group work, and students have been found to perform well in group work and class discussions. All 3 teachers who participated in the interview regarding the use of IBL approach in classrooms believe that the highest level of students' engagement in classrooms activities are found when they are introduced to a more student-centered learning. 1 out of the 3 participants stated that it is very important that teacher scaffolding is integrated with open inquiry, particularly for the lower ability students, as it can result in lack of engagement. Based on our literature review, we found conflicting opinions regarding student-centered learning. The type of inquiry approach that is more relevant in education remains controversial among teachers, as some educators prefer using open inquiry, whereas others prefer using teacher-directed inquiry. However, the literature agrees that students who experience open inquiry learning show above average level of engagement in classroom activities. Some of the limitations of the interview is the fact that we had small data pool. Limited responses were obtained. The interview were time-consuming, and another aspect that adds to the interview limitation is that our group members did not go on practical this semester due to COVID lockdown, which limited our abilities to choose participants from the same school environment, same cohort, and stages.
My name is Sam, and I'm going to discuss our action research proposal for this presentation. Based on our current research, we propose that further study is needed to determine how do teachers integrate student-centered learning and collaborative learning with ICT strategies to enhance students' engagement. Our primary data collection produced interesting results. However, more data is needed to fully answer our research question, particularly focusing on collaborative learning, ICT, and student-centered learning. Initially, we focused on teachers and students from diverse school environments and from different cohort stages. However, we believe that in future research, we need to focus on family-level intervention and school-based intervention to obtain more accurate data. For example, in the family-level intervention, we need to support parental involvement through the use of structural intervention components, including school-to-home communication and the promotion of a home environment conducive to student learning. Family management skills, together with parent school involvement, are necessary to bolster school success. So interventions that target these two competencies will likely increase students' engagement and achievement. In addition, to verify the validity of our future action research, we need to consider the school-based interventions. For example, we need to focus on a single school environment and a specific year group and cohort. This will ensure that all students are in the same age range and have access to the same curriculum and scope and sequence. In order to determine whether student-centered learning and collaborative learning with ICT enhance student engagement, we will need to have a control group with no changes to their lessons and a variable group with strong implementation of student-centered learning and collaborative learning with ICT throughout the lessons. Throughout our research stage, we came across the links between student-centered learning, collaborative learning, and the use of technology in classroom in enhancing students' engagement and academic success. Since our aim is to improve students' engagement with classroom activities, we proposed a new research question, which is, how can teachers integrate student-led activities and collaborative learning with ICT to enhance students' engagement? This research question will allow us to gather more in-depth data regarding how to improve students' engagement. It is important to be across ethical considerations when undertaking action research, as you need to have consent from all parties involved before proceeding. By providing consent forms, you are taking the appropriate and ethical measures to ensure your participants are willing to reveal and give you information that will help make up your research. The way that we would collect data would be through formative assessments and examples of student work, interviews with the teachers that are involved with both the control and variable classrooms, as well as surveying students making the research mixed methods. We believe that this action research will influence our future teaching practice based on the collective literature review and the findings of our action research. We intend to implement collaborative learning, student-centered learning, and ICT strategies in our teaching practices to promote students' engagement with classroom activities aiming to improve students' learning outcomes. And this is a list of our references we used throughout this presentation. Thanks for listening, guys.